Good afternoon. Today I'd like to talk to you about best practices for harvesting elderberry and making syrup out of it. So today I'm going to be harvesting some elderberry and I'm going to be beginning the process of making elderberry syrup. So as you can see right here, we've got some very ripe elderberry. It's just perfect. You can also see that there are some bunches that have lost all of their berries, which is perfectly fine. They've either lost them because they've fallen or because birds have come and eaten them or other animals, which is just perfect because I would prefer to have them as ripe as this and have lost some to the birds and have lost some to the animals than to have half the berries or part of the berries still green. In years past, I've wanted to get all of them, 100% of my elderberries, and so I've harvested them when they were still a little bit green, some of them anyway, but that just made the whole process more difficult, more complicated, because those green ones aren't really usable. And so now 100% of these berries are ripe, and actually, as you can see, I'm hearing them as I'm talking, I'm hearing them fall. Listen to this. So they're all falling, which is great, because that way I'm going to be able to easily separate them from these branches and so on, and when I'm making the syrup. And so, because we get so much elderberry that I don't need to harvest all of it. It's fine that the birds take a bunch of it. And actually, I don't even need these, because this is another way you can harvest it, just by cracking off. Oh, well, okay, it's not cracking off easily. Maybe now that it's so ripe, that's softened. So I'll use the scissors. Let me try this again. Oh, see, that cracked off easily. And once I've cracked it off, I can really shake it and a whole bunch of them will fall. Now, if they don't all fall, that's fine, because they're so ripe that if I just do this, I've pretty well gotten them all. If I didn't get all of them, that's fine. Which means I don't have to deal with this branch or these little mini branches when I'm making my syrup, because the thing is, the leaves, the branches, and the green berries, you can't eat. They're toxic. They're only edible when ripe, and even when ripe, in order to be able to eat them, you have to cook them. That's why I'm going to make a syrup out of them a little bit later on. And so that is why I am taking these. I am harvesting when they're extremely ripe, because I'll show you the whole, our whole elderberry patch, but you can see that we have lots and lots and lots. And we have elderberries at different sort of points of ripeness. So you see, once again, I pretty well got all of them just by doing that for a few seconds. So now let's have a look at the whole big patch. Let's take a sort of wider view. So here you can see a fairly large portion of our elderberry patch, probably about a quarter of it. So you can see we have a lot of elderberry. You can see the darker color berries, and they're not all completely ripe, which is just fine, because that means that we can harvest a bit at a time and use it and make our syrup out of it, rather than having a whole ton, which is harder to deal with. And so, because if I were to have to harvest, if everything were to ripen all at the same time, that's just a little bit too much to deal with. And so, as you can see, we have lots. And that is why I don't mind waiting until it's completely ripe. And so let's say maybe 30% of it the birds have eaten it, or if it's dropped down to the soil. Anything that's dropped down to the ground, it's going to decompose and it's going to add to the soil. And little animals will be able to eat it. And anything the birds have eaten, that's great too, because we like to have birds around, because they help us with the gardening. And so as you can see, some of them are like the ones that I harvested already, where they are mostly ripe. As you can see here, like this one, they're all ripe, I should say, and so they're really easy to separate from the stem. But then if you look behind me here, we have some that are still very green, like this one, so I'm not even going to touch those. And then we have some that I might have harvested in the past, like this. Here, if you have a closer look at this, last year and in years past, I might have harvested them like this, because they're mostly red, mostly ripe, but you can see there are a lot of green ones in there still. And so that just made it a bit more complicated. Plus, if I try and separate these, they don't come off as easily, okay? Even a lot of the red ones are staying there. And so I'd rather just leave that on the bush and let it completely ripen. And if we lose a bunch, that's fine. But here you see, there's one green one. But everything, oh, there's another green one right there. So I'd almost be tempted to leave this because it's, it's too much work to go look for the green ones. Too much work. I don't want to do all that work and try and find the ones that are still green and not take them. I'd rather just take the ones that are totally ripe. Oh, even there's a little green one, you see? So the ones that I know are completely ripe are the ones that have lost some of the berries. So there you go. This probably only has half the berries, but I know they're all ripe. And I know they're also going to easily come off the stems. So that's just perfect. And those are going to be perfect as well. The more ripe they are, the more medicinal properties they're going to have, the more vitamins and so on, the more healthy they'll be, and the sweeter they will be. And so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ignore all these that are partially ripe or that are mostly ripe, and I'm just going to go after the ones that are completely ripe and see how many we get for today's harvest. The other thing is, I will take a few of them that might just have 1 or 2 green berries in them, because if they just have 1 or 2 green berries in them, the other ones are so ripe that when I go to take them off, the ripe ones will fall off and the green ones will stay stuck. So here's a whole bunch, and I'm going to be able to start separating them all. But even if I just do this, a whole bunch will separate. So you can see a whole bunch right down there in the bottom. Hold on. There they are. Some of these I've already done. Throw them back in accidentally. As you can see, they come off real easily. I'll show you where I'm throwing the empty branches, and you'll see there are very few berries left in there. And you'll see that there's some green ones. They stuck to the branch. Just right. The ripe ones come off real easily, and what's really nice is the branches don't break. In years past, it was never so easy to remove these. I took them too early. It's so much easier. It's taken me so much less time to process them. I had to boil them with the whole stem on it. That meant I needed to use more water. It took a lot longer to press it. So yeah, you don't want to do that. You want to be able to take all the berries off real easy, and you want to be able to do it easily. Which means you have to wait till they're really ripe, which means you're going to lose maybe 25% or 30% of the berries on each bunch to the birds or to the ground. But it's fine, because elderberry is a plant that grows in true abundance, and the amount of time you're going to save and in time and effort is so much greater than the small amount of berries you're not going to get. Plus, you're going to make the animals in your garden happy, and when the animals are happy, they want to make you happy. You might find this hard to believe, but it seems like as the years go by, I get fewer and fewer animals that you know, take from our garden and stuff like that. It's almost like they know. They know what they can take and they know what they shouldn't take. And they just want to live happily. Because, you know what? Animals, I mean, they learn, just like we do. They learn what works and what doesn't. And part of that is learning how to live with the other animals around them, including the humans. And so I think that's one thing they're learning. They know that we love to have them around, and they know that there's some things they can eat and some things that they shouldn't eat. And so it's just great that way. So I'm mostly done. I still got some left, but you can see all the berries in the bottom. There are a few green ones in there, not that many. They'll be easy to take out. And then here is all the ones that I've already cleared, and you can see there's almost no berries in there. There are a few left. You know, if I wanted to get every single one of them, well, I'd have to take the time to remove every single one of them. I don't need to. That's just going to go back to the garden. So I'm just going to finish this up. So there we are. Here are the elderberries. There are a few green ones in there. That's fine. You got to take them out. And there are really not that many. Now we're going to be able to make a really nice syrup out of these elderberries. And this is just one of many harvests that I'm going to be able to do. And here are the branches that are now, as you can see, there are a couple berries left on there, some green ones. Lift these up and see what's in the bottom. A couple berries in the bottom, really not that many. They really came off really easily. I was so glad that I waited until they really ripened. There you go. Because not only do we have that elderberry patch out front, we've got others in the forest, which we leave mostly to the animals. Now I've just put enough water to slightly cover the berries. I'm going to bring these to a boil and let them stay at a simmering boil for 20 minutes. So now the elderberry in the water is boiling, and it's going to look like there's more liquid because obviously the juice is going to come out of the elderberries. It's boiling, so I'm going to reduce the flame so that it can just simmer. And I'm just going to let this simmer. Well, it's already been a few minutes, so I'm going to let this simmer for about 15 minutes because it's already been about 5 minutes. It started boiling, and then I will press out the juice. The elderberries have simmered for about 20 minutes. Now I've turned off the heat, and now I'm just going to take one of these spoons, and while they're still hot, I'm just going to press them to press out the juice. Once they've cooled off a little bit, then I will put them through a cheesecloth to get all of the juice. So the elderberries have cooled down, and I've smashed them up a bit to get as much juice as possible out. And now I'm just going to run these through a sort of a cheesecloth. Any type of material will do. You could also use a colander, but you might get, you know, some big pieces and stuff like that. This will filter it nicely so that if I wanted to make a jelly out of this, I could. But I'm just going to make a syrup, and I'll let you know how I'm going to do that in a minute. So now I'm just going to run this through this cheesecloth into this bowl very slowly. I suppose I could have put a colander underneath this cheesecloth so it doesn't slip. That might have been a better idea. Just going to make sure all the juice gets through there. Now this is a very small batch that I've made in order to do this video. My next harvest, I'll probably harvest about 4 or 5 times as much. Now I'm just going to pull this out of here and squeeze the last of the juice out of it. Here's why cheesecloth really works, because you can't squeeze a metal colander. And there's a little bit of juice left in the pot too, but that's fine. Now, while I'm doing this, while I'm squeezing the rest of the juice out, so I'm going to make a syrup out of this, which means I'm not doing a jelly. If I wanted to do a jelly, then I'd have to take the volume. Let's say it looks like I've got about maybe 4 to 6 cups in there. Liter and a half. Well, if I wanted to do a jelly, I'd need the same amount of sugar. So 4 to 6 cups of sugar, or liter and a half of sugar. But I find that's just way too much. So let's say there's 4 cups of syrup, of juice here. Well, to make a syrup, I'll just do maybe about 40% sugar. So that would be about 1.5 cups of sugar that I would need. And I'll add the sugar, boil it, and then I'll can it. Actually, but for this amount, it's not worth canning because there's not a whole bunch. We'll just use it in the next few weeks. I'll stick it in the fridge. So there it is. So there's the nice juice. So I've tasted it, and this is I just squeezed it. You just saw me squeezing this out. So actually it wasn't like 1.5 liters. It looks like it's more like almost a liter, almost 4 cups. I'm not adding any sugar to this. It's too good. It tastes delicious. It's sweet already, and there's not a whole lot of it. I could drink this up easily in a week. So so rather than go through the trouble of adding sugar, boiling it down, putting it in a water bath to make it seal up and all the rest of it, I'm just going to use this over the next week, and all that process I'll do when I harvest a whole lot more, because this is just pure. There's no sugar added, nothing. It's just so good. Very refreshing. It's still warm. When it's cold, I think it'll taste even better, but I mean, this tastes really delicious. Pure elderberry juice, basically. This is the pure juice. And by the way, while I enjoy some of this elderberry juice, I thought I'd let you know that, well, today is Friday, August 16th, I'm pretty sure. And so on Sunday, August 18th, which is the day I hope to put this video out, we will be celebrating a year of being on YouTube, of doing these videos. It was last August 18th, 2023, that we put up our first video over in the sun garden. And so you know, I think we've learned a lot. It's been a lot of fun, and over the next couple months, we plan on really improving the quality of what we're doing, and really give the kind of stuff that you guys would like. We're kind of in a transition period right now, but it should be a lot of fun. And so, but it's just really wonderful. It's been, so on Sunday, it'll on the 18th, it will have been a year, and we've got just about 25,000 subscribers, so we're really happy about that. We're really happy that you're here with us, and we hope that you continue watching our videos, and because there's always something that you can get from them. There's always something that you can learn from them, I think, anyway. And it's all about just really finding balance in your life, and getting the abundance out of nature, getting the abundance out of the work that you're doing, but also sharing it with nature, and realizing that when you allow nature in, when you allow nature to work with you, you don't have to work quite as hard, because you're not making all that effort to prevent weeds, to prevent pests, to prevent this and that and the next thing. So, because you're sharing a bit of what you're doing, and so it's a lot less effort. And so for the effort you put in, you get so much more, and one way or another, we get enough for the whole year. And so keep following us, keep participating with us, keep giving us your comments, and we're going to keep doing these videos, and we're going to keep trying to do them the best way we can, and taking all your comments and taking all your suggestions to improve all the time, because learning is something. keeps us all really young, keeps us all nimble, and the gardening too, of course. And but learning keeps the mind young. I'm not going to stop learning. I'll keep learning for the rest of my life, and that's what makes life interesting. Loving, and learning. That's those are the probably one, two of the most important things in life: loving and learning, and loving doing what you do to make a living. So here's to loving, and here's to learning. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.